The Diverse Dragons collection is a mod by Opus Glass that adds 14 new species of dragons to the game, stating that its aim is to increase the variety and challenge of dragon encounters. The mod requires an up-to-date version of Skyrim as well as the Dawnguard and Dragonborn DLCs. The mod author also states that the mod should be placed at the bottom of your load order to ensure that everything in the mod works correctly. Every new dragon has its own mesh and texture, giving all of them a unique look. The dragons look similar enough to the vanilla game's dragons to fit in, but different enough to tell them all apart. They also have their own unique abilities and breath attacks to further separate them from the vanilla dragons. The dragons have been added to the game's level list, meaning they will be encountered randomly at dragon lair word walls and during quests. They will spawn alongside the vanilla dragons, not replace them. However, this can cause some compatibility issues. As the mod edits the level dragon encounter list, it'll be incompatible with any other mod that does the same. However, this is addressed by the mod author in the README and offers a solution on how to fix this. The README includes details on what mods should be compatible, which mods aren't, and which should be mostly compatible but will require a little extra effort to get working. The README states that it should be compatible with Ultimate Dragons, Dragon Combat Overhaul, the Dragon Engine, and mods such as More Dragons and Timing is Everything, which can affect how often dragons spawn. Mods listed as incompatible but with fixes are Deadly Dragons, Elemental Dragons, and Chaos Dragons. The only incompatibility is leveled lists not getting along. This can be fixed with a program called WireBash by creating a bash patch. I'll include a link in the description to a video by Velvet Kevorkian Gaming that explains what all of that is and how to make one. As previously stated, the dragons all have their own mesh and texture, though the mod author explains he used assets made by others with permission by the original creators and details what he might have changed for his own mod. Thus, depending on your modding experience, some of the dragons may look familiar to you. The most obvious dragons added by the mod that players may have seen before are the Infernal and Zephyr dragons. Zero Frost is the mod author behind the Thanatos and Behemoth dragons, both of which were originally released as an optional Odahviing replacer, and the Thanatos dragon was re-released by Oriana Valori 1 to replace Durnavir, so this may be an issue for some users to consider if they use any of those replacer mods. One neat thing to note is that the README for the mod has a section titled Customization. It details how to open the mod in the creation kit and adjust the levels of the dragons to suit your preference. If you think a dragon is too easy, you can lower its level and thus make it spawn sooner, or if it's too difficult, you can raise its level. You can even outright remove the dragon from the mod if you don't like it for whatever reason, or even increase the chance of a game spawning a specific dragon. The dragons of this mod are pretty cool. Some might use a bit of fire or frost in addition to their own new attacks. In my experience and opinion, they worked well with the vanilla game's dragons as well as dragons from Deadly Dragons. And thanks to the way Deadly Dragons works, the two mods work alongside each other quite nicely. Add in Dragon Combat Overhaul and the experience is pretty great. Now if you're interested in seeing what all the new dragons look like and what they can do, I'll cover that in the rest of the video. The Brute Dragon employs fire-based breath attacks. At level 18, it's the weakest dragon the mod adds. It's about as powerful as a blood dragon, and it looks a little like one too. Dark, Lightning, and Red dragons are level 27, in between the Blood and Frost dragons. The Dark Dragon will use fire, though it will also use a stream of darkness that will drain your health and heal the dragon. Lightning dragons are exactly what it says on the tin. It spits lightning at you. Mages beware. Red dragons seem to be inspired by Odahviing, who, in a book in the game, is referred to as a red dragon, a breed that is both very uncommon and powerful. The dragons that the mod adds use fire-based attacks and aren't all that powerful. Berserk, Marine, and Storm dragons are level 36, putting them between Frost and Elder dragons. Berserks are similar to Dark dragons, using fire and a drain health attack when fighting, though more powerful. I personally think it's one of the cooler looking dragons thanks to its horns. Storm dragons are basically lightning dragons with the dial turned to 11. Unlike their lightning cousins, they'll use a storm call shout to aid in their attack. At level 45, between Elder and Ancient dragons are the Crimson, Crystal, and Lava dragons. Crimsons are colored as their namesake and use fire-based attacks, as well as a Drain Vitality and a Drain Health Breath. Crystal dragons are electric-based dragons that will use it in every way possible, from breath attacks to creating a storm to even cloaking themselves in electricity. Lava dragons will use fire-based attacks and can summon a rain of fireballs. They're probably one of the coolest looking dragons in the mod. Coming in after Ancient Dragons and before Revered and Serpentine Dragons at level 59 is the Apocryphal, Chilblain, and Zephyr Dragons. The Chilblain Dragon is basically a high-level Frost Dragon with some cool headgear. The Zephyr Dragon is easily my favorite. It uses fire to fight and can even use a disarm shout on its enemies. However, if you think that's annoying, the dragon can also use a version of the Cyclone shout. it's definitely possible that this dragon may annoy you. At level 75, rivaling legendary dragons, the Infernal Dragon is the most powerful dragon the mod adds. It uses fire and a Drain Vitality shout to fight, though I found it preferred the Drain Vitality, likely due to my armor. If you notice that I didn't mention much about the Marine and Apocryphal dragons, it's because they have some issues. When fighting the Marine Dragon, it uses Frost Breath like a Serpentine Dragon, but also uses Storm Call. The problem is, it's much like the player's own Storm Call and creates a thunderstorm with lightning strikes. I personally felt like this had no real business being an ability of a Marine Dragon's. The texture is also extremely blurry in some places, and I'm not quite sure if it's the actual texture or if the texture has been stretched by the mesh, which I'm sure many will note looks very fat. Indeed, I'm not sure if the Marine Dragon is actually larger than other dragons by scale, or if the mesh is just very thick compared to the other dragons. However, in combat, I felt like my sword was missing its hits and that I had to get really close to the dragon. Turns out there was a reason for that. The big toothless head that it sports extends past the collision box of the mesh. The Apocryphal dragon is pretty gross looking and would fit in perfectly in Apocrypha, just as the name suggests. However, its body is disproportionate to most other dragons, mainly in the head, so head animations look a little weird. The main issue, however, is that it has the opposite problem of a Marine Dragon. The mesh's collision extends too far. It can lead to some weirdness. So despite a few issues, I think this is a pretty great mod. Whether it fits into your game is your choice to make. Hopefully though, this video made that choice a little easier.